I know beans might be considered the ultimate budget meal, but they don't need to taste like you're eating on a budget. You can actually make beans taste quite incredible and you're not gonna be bored. Welcome to Meals with Maria. I thought it would be time to show you some more amazing beans recipes. Today we are working with canned beans, making it simple, making things that are absolutely delicious but will not break the bank. I have a black bean burger for you. I was actually afraid of making black bean burgers for years for some reason, but not anymore after this recipe. I also have some black bean crispies. Look how crunchy those are. And a twist on an old favorite. If you ate lean cuisines back in the 2000s, or maybe even still, they have one called Santa Fe rice and beans, and this is a twist on that. It was one of my favorite things, and I feel like we really nailed it. This first recipe is for the best black bean burger. You want to start off with 1 can of black beans. We're going to drain and rinse those. And then I'm dicing up a half a green bell pepper and a half of a small red onion. And if you don't have fresh bell pepper, that's going to be totally fine. You can omit that. And then as far as the onion goes, you can always use onion powder. And then I'm just peeling 2 cloves of garlic. Again, if you don't have fresh, you can always use garlic powder, but I'm a big proponent of keeping onions and garlic on hand because they are super inexpensive and they add a lot of flavor to your food. Now we're ready to start making the burgers. You just want to mash the black beans in a bowl with the back of a fork. And then place your onions, peppers, and garlic in a food processor and process until finely minced. Take your pureed veggies and add those directly to your black beans and make sure everything is well combined. And for spices, you want to add 1 tablespoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Mix that together, add in 1 egg, make sure that becomes well beaten, well incorporated, and then 2/3 a cup of breadcrumbs. You want a good consistency here so that you can shape your burgers. So you want to make sure that it's not too dry, but also not too soft. So if you need to add a little extra breadcrumbs, go ahead and do that. And if you feel like there is not enough water, go ahead and just add a little bit of water into it. And last minute, given that these were burgers, I decided to add some Auntie Nono's burger seasoning, and it was delicious. Then you just want to roll up your sleeves and form your patties. You're going to scoop the mixture into 4 evenly sized patties, forming them and pressing them flat with your hands, just like you do with a regular burger. I was impressed with how easy it was to make these. The consistency was just right according to the directions that I just gave, and they were perfect little circles, just like a regular, hamburger meat would be. I was most impressed that they stayed together really well and they cooked really nicely so they didn't fall apart while I was cooking. I think that's maybe what I've been most concerned about with cooking black bean burgers myself, the amount of effort that would take to make them and kind of would they stay together. And both of those things on this is super minimal, and these are super inexpensive. So we're just talking about 1 can of beans here. And like I said, if you don't have that fresh onion, garlic, pepper, you can swap it out for the spices, and you're just using breadcrumbs and an egg and black beans and lots of flavor from all sorts of spices, and you get a delicious burger. These were absolutely fantastic. You just want to cook them for 4 minutes on each side over about a medium heat, and they turn out amazing. I served mine with like a little bit of lettuce, tomato, onion, and then I just made up a really quick sriracha mayo. The original recipe I think says use a chipotle chilies in adobo and mix that with mayo, which sounds delicious. I just didn't have those on hand, so I just used about a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and a squirt of sriracha and then a little squirt of lime juice, and it made a fantastic sauce that went really, really well with these. But my kids just had them with ketchup and they were pleased as well. And you can feel really good about yourself eating something like this because it is relatively healthy. I even served it with like a root vegetable French fry that I just found in the frozen section. They were quite good. It was something different, and I felt like we all did ourselves and our health a service by eating this. Oh, the toes too? Oh my goodness. No, that's 20 out of 20. Next up, we have crispy black bean tacos. I saw this picture on Pinch of Yum, and I was like, I gotta make that. Those look amazing. They do not look like a budget meal by any means, and I'll tell you, they don't taste like it either, but they are so, so good. So you want to start off with 1 can of black beans drained and rinsed, and try and get those into a food processor. Try your best not to spill them everywhere like I did. I'm just using the Magic Bullet. It'd probably be a little bit easier if you use a regular size food processor, but I didn't really feel like getting that out that day. Then add in a 1/4 cup of your favorite salsa and 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning. And then we're just gonna blend until smooth. You're gonna be surprised at how much flavor that this has with that taco seasoning and that salsa. And that is so simple. That is the filling for the tacos. And I can't believe I did not try something like this sooner. Now we're also going to make a cilantro lime crema, and you totally don't have to do this part. I understand this is a little bit more expensive than just using a little salsa and black beans, but it does elevate things. So if you have some sour cream and cilantro on hand, I recommend it. You want to start with 1 cup of sour cream inside a food processor with a 1/4 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of oil, 2 cloves of garlic, about a 1/2 cup of chopped green onions, and a 1/2 cup of cilantro leaves. And then you also want the juice of 2 limes, and I'm just kind of eyeballing that because I don't have fresh lime. And you just want to process this until smooth, and it makes a delicious crema for dipping your tacos. I find that it was a little bit watery, so I actually added like about a tablespoon more of sour cream, and that did the trick. It thickened it right up. I left this in the refrigerator while I made the tacos, and once those were ready, this was nice and cold and absolutely amazing. The 1 can of black beans will make about 5 or 6 small tortillas. So I just have flour tortillas here, and I'm spreading the mixture over half of it, and then I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to make up all of these ahead of time, and then we're going to heat some butter or oil in a pan, whatever you have, whatever you want to use, over medium heat, and just crisp those up on both sides. I love the consistency of this bean mixture on the inside. It really heats well throughout, and it's nice because it sticks together. And surprisingly, we're not putting any cheese in here. There's no dairy, which always kind of jacks the price up on stuff. So just using that salsa, beans, and taco seasoning gives you so much flavor. And these would be good with regular sour cream or without any sauce at all. They really, really are delicious. Next up, we have our copycat Santa Fe rice and beans. Like I said, comment below if you remember the rice and beans from Lean Cuisine. And like I said, maybe they still make it, but that was one of my absolute favorites. And I've been wanting to try this for a while. And this recipe hit the nail on the head. And it's so cheap. It's so good and so cheap. You want a can of black beans, drained and rinsed, as well as 1 can of kidney beans, drained and rinsed. And not only is this cheap, easy, and delicious, it's super easy. You want to start by adding 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, or I had like a Monterey Jack blend, to a bowl. You need a 1/2 cup of salsa, or I actually ran out of salsa, so I used the tomatoes with diced green chilies, and that worked out fine. And then 8 ounces of tomato sauce. You also want to add your drained and rinsed beans and 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, which worked out perfect because I used that 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning from a little packet for the black bean crispies, and then I used 2 more for this. So you can make these 2 nights in a row and just use a packet of taco seasoning and you're gonna be in good shape. And then 1 cup of sour cream. And the original recipe calls for 1 can of drained whole kernel corn. Unfortunately, I was out of corn, so I wasn't able to add that, and it was still good, but I do remember the corn from the original recipe, so were I made to make it again, I would definitely add in corn. Then I'm just adding about a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, just because I didn't have like real salsa, and I felt like those flavors were gonna be missing if I didn't put them in. And then the last step is to add 4 cups of cooked rice. I had basmati rice because that's just what I had around, and it's quick to cook, and it tasted great like that. But you can use, short grain. You can use the instant stuff, whatever is going to work. The rice is, white rice. It's good stuff. And once everything is well mixed, you do want to add that to a 13x9 pan. I used one that was slightly smaller, and it really filled it to the top. So this makes a ton of food. This is at least 2 meals worth of food for my family of 5. The baby ate 2, so there is a lot here, and that's why it's such a great budget meal. And then you want to cook that at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. It's going to make sure that everything is heated through and all the flavors meld. And then we're going to sprinkle with 1 cup of cheddar cheese, or whatever remaining cheese that you have, and bake for another 5 to 10 minutes until that cheese is melted. And if you're wondering what's going on over there on the left in that pot, that's actually a simmer pot. So I just put some cinnamon sticks, cloves, apple, and orange in a pot and simmered it on low, and it makes an amazing smell in your house. So I would recommend you try it if you haven't. Once your cheese is all melty, this is ready to serve, and I just decided to add some green onions over the top of mine just for fun. And this did taste just like the good old-fashioned lean cuisine. It was so delicious. We kind of couldn't stop eating it. It was bad, but we luckily, because there was so much, had so many leftovers. I just served mine with some tortilla chips, and then I had leftover of the cilantro lime sauce from the Crispies, and I put that over the top of this. So like I said, these are great back-to-back meals. It was so amazingly delicious. I want to thank you so much for watching today. If you want to see some more rice and beans recipes, get some more budget inspiration, make sure to click on the video right here. I have something for you.